Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is out. The last few days have been extremely cold, but it's finally nice and warm again, and there's a lot of things to do in the garden, so I'm gonna bring you along. But first, my little buddies are also very busy drinking from their feeders. I filled them up yesterday because they kept coming up to my window and fluttering around until I came out here and refilled them. But look how happy they look now. As always, first I have to show you a few of my favorite things happening in the garden right now. We had 2 or 3 days of light frost in the past week, and I didn't really cover my fruit punch mango, mostly because I forgot. I was up really late editing and working, and I just dozed off, and when I woke up in the morning I realized I'd forgotten, and I came out here to check. And I mean, I don't know if this was here beforehand, but for the most part the rest of the tree looks really good. This was already here. I mean, look at all this growth. I think what really helped is the little microclimate that it has going on here. It's up against the house, so I think that helps to shield it a bit. A lot of the other things in the garden had a light layer of frost over them, which is crazy because we live here in Arizona. But I'm glad that my fruit punch mango was nice and happy and protected. I love the color of these on the bear's lime. I feel like they're going to be a nice pink, but who knows, because some of them over here are white. Either way, it's going to look beautiful. I'm happy every time I notice some new growth on there. My Florida Prince peach is one of the trees that I'm the most excited about because I love peaches, and I feel like they're rarely ever on sale at the store. And we're a family of 5, so whenever I buy some, I buy like 3 or 4 and they're gone within a few hours. So I'm very happy to have this tree. It's leafing out a lot more, which makes me very excited, but I'm even happier about some of these blooms starting to pop through. You see that right there? It's gorgeous. That's the first one I see, but I'm pretty sure within the next week we're going to see a lot more covering the tree. The Pakistan Mulberry is leafing out, and today I'm going to go through and actually cut it back a bit because I want to make sure that when it branches out, it stays a manageable height. If I leave it the height that it is right now, it's going to put on several more feet of growth, and I think it might get too tall and out of hand. And I'd rather prune it back gradually rather than do a few big chops throughout the year because I don't know if that'll affect fruit set. This Burbank Plum looks majestic, and the flowers are so pretty. Look at that. My sister's visiting right now, so I'm definitely gonna have her come out here to look at it because I think it just looks stunning. To me, it kind of looks like someone went in and glued the flowers on because there's no leaves anywhere else, right? Well, actually, it looks like there's some starting to pop out right here. But for the most part, the tree's still bald with a couple of flowers here and there, which is kind of funny, but I love it. In the past couple of weeks, I've shown you guys how I transplanted out all of my tomatoes. These are some of the tomatillos that I transplanted, and they look freaking amazing. There's blooms everywhere, as you can see right here. That one has a little bit less. This one, I believe, was my purple tomatillo. Let me check. Yep, the purple one really took off. It's huge. It's got blooms everywhere. The green one is starting to catch up. It has a couple of blooms. Ooh, and it looks like it did get a bit of frost damage, but for the most part, it still looks great. When it comes to tomatillos, you really want 2 plants because it needs to cross-pollinate. If for any reason I were to lose one of these plants, I would definitely have to go to the store and pick up a transplant because I want to make sure I get a good amount of fruit set, and then this plant will start climbing up this trellis, and I think it's gonna look really beautiful. What's funny is that these tomatoes are right next to my tomatillos, but I don't see any damage on either of them. The tomatillos are the ones that took a bit of a hit, but barely. Today I'm gonna focus on taking down these sweet peas. I love them. I mean, there's still some up here, as you can see, and they taste incredible, but the reason that they're coming down is because I'm starting to see a lot of powdery mildew over here. There's a bunch of the spores everywhere, and it rained a few days ago, so I think, oh, look at this leaf over here. So I think the problem is just gonna keep getting worse. In the past, I've tried to control the powdery mildew, and I think my best approach to powdery mildew is to session sowing peas as often as possible. So whenever some of them get the powdery mildew, I have a whole new crop coming up. That way I can get rid of these and then have the new ones take their place. But the most exciting thing I wanted to show you guys is my Parfianca pomegranate, because that's the one tree that I've been waiting for to wake up because it's the one that I want to trellis across the arches. I think it's gonna look really pretty. And let me show you what it looks like right now. So if I step back, it looks like nothing really is going on. There's no green leaves anywhere. But if we come in closer, like right here, for example, those little red buds that are starting to swell are a good sign that it's waking up. So the first time I planted it, it had a few of those, and within a few weeks, as soon as they started pulling away from the branches, there were leaves everywhere. So I'm pretty sure this one is going to be nicely leafed out within the next 1 to 2 weeks. You can actually start to see it happening right here. Isn't it so pretty? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, you guys. And this part here I never showed in a video because I did it while I was still sick. Oh, does this look like it's starting to swell? It kind of does. Oh my gosh, hold on. During the week that I was really sick, I came out here one morning because I was sick and tired of being indoors all day long. I just felt horrible and I just wanted to do something out here. So I chopped off this part of my contender peach tree because it doesn't do well here in my area. And in the past year, it's really just done nothing for me. But it was difficult to see where the graft point was because I painted it white to protect the trunk from the sun. So I chopped it below this portion. Although I'm not sure if this might be the graft, and there's no way for me to fully take off the paint. So I took a chance and grafted it right here. It's my first time I ever tried grafting anything, so I was pretty sure I did everything wrong. And I didn't film the process because I didn't feel good, but I just wanted to try it out. Now it looks like it might have worked. And this portion of the scion looks like it's starting to swell, which is gonna be amazing if it works. All right, that's enough babbling. Now it's time to get to work. I just miss being out here because it's been so cold the last few days, and I just want to look at every single plant and just study it and memorize it because I feel like it's been forever since I saw them, but there's a lot of work to do, so let's do that. First, I'm going to start by taking down these sugar snap pea vines. Before I do that, I'm going to try and pick all the fruit. The tops of them look great, but I know that powdery mildew is going to spread quickly. I mean, it's already over here, so there's really no use in keeping them unless I want everything underneath it to get the powdery mildew as well. I'm going to cut them up into pieces, trying my best not to yank them because I don't want that powdery mildew to go everywhere. Ooh. You can feel it on your fingers. It literally feels like someone sprinkled baby powder everywhere. Oh, gross. And after I'm done taking everything down, I'm also going to go back inside and wash my hands before I touch anything else in the garden. Also, in the last video, I showed these in the little haul of the garden tools. And so far, I've been using them for a few days, and I think they're all right. I wouldn't recommend them. These exact ones, at least, if you were to find them at the store, I feel like I would pass up on them because they work okay, but they're not the best. I like my other ones better, so most likely, I'll still buy the Corona ones to replace my other ones. These are okay, but I'm not very impressed by them. Before I keep going, I'm actually going to go ahead and sharpen these. Before I do that though, I'm going to disinfect them with some rubbing alcohol just to give them a fair shot. Maybe they just need a little bit of sharpening, although I feel like out of the box, oftentimes I expect my tools to be sharp, at least for the first few uses, and then if I need to sharpen them, then that's understandable. But if I need to sharpen them even the first time around, it kind of makes me feel like, then what the heck? Why weren't they sharp to begin with? What if somebody doesn't have a sharpener? So I'm gonna let this dry off a little bit. The reason I'm disinfecting them first is because of the powdery mildew that I just cut off. I don't want to get that on here. I'll still disinfect this afterwards, but just in case. Actually, beforehand, I used to hold it against my chest and go like this to sharpen. One thing I can already tell I really don't like is the fact that this is as much as it opens up. You don't have a whole lot of room to work with. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. Now I have it pointing towards myself, and I sharpen them with my sharpener pulling towards me. I feel like I have better control this way, at least for this type of pruner. And the sharpener I use is from Corona. Okay, that feels better. And I'm going to disinfect it one more time before I use it anywhere else. I'm also going to disinfect the handles actually, just to make sure I don't get powdery mildew anywhere else. I'm going to test them out again and see how I like them. Whenever I sharpen them, it did take some of that black coating off, but I feel like it's inevitable. I need to sharpen them because on their own, they're not ready. So I guess I should point out that's one thing I look for whenever I'm buying pruners is how much room do I have to work with, because if this opening right here is not too wide, then I'm kind of limited to how many branches I can cut off. And while I do have loppers, most of the time if I'm in a hurry or I just really want to get the work done, I like to go in and just use my pruners. And if I can only cut a certain amount of branches with them, then I feel like I'm not going to reach for them as often. So it's nice and dry now. Let's get back to work. I'm going to test them out on this okra right here. It's trying to push out new growth, but honestly, it went through the entire winter. I'd rather just start over with brand new okra. That way I get a good production. And yeah, they're way sharper now. They work so much better. Oh, let's get these sunflower too. In order to cut back my Pakistan Mulberry, I'm actually going to use my regular pruners because I feel like I have a lot more space to work with, and I want to make sure that the cuts are nice and sharp. So similar to my other trees, I want to cut it about knee length, which is right here. Oh, okay, this one's going to be a little painful. I'm going to cut it at a slight angle right here. I know, you guys, I know that's a lot, but it's gonna grow fast, and I need to, because I really need to keep this variety manageable. If I leave it as tall as it was and it puts out about 6 or 8 feet of growth in the next few months, it's gonna be so tall, and for the size of the pot, it's gonna be a lot harder to manage. So I want to start controlling the size now before it gets any taller. And then I go through making sure that all of my cuts are a slight angle, just like that. I also disinfected my pruners before cutting this back, and these branches I'm going to go ahead and try and propagate. Something else that I'm also cutting back right now is going to be this bitter melon. The vine is yellowing right now. It's dying back, as you can see right here. It never actually produced anything, and I want to start fresh. I've never actually tried the fruit, but I want to make sure that the trellis is freed up for this passion fruit vine. I planted the bitter melon, I think either shortly before or shortly after the passion fruit, not really thinking it through and realizing that the passion fruit would easily take over the entire trellis. So I want to make sure I reserve it for that, and then the bitter melon I'll direct sow somewhere else. So let's start cutting back these vines. When I'm cutting them back, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not cutting back the passion fruit vine, and I'm strictly sticking to the bitter melon. Oh, and you know what this plant did too, you guys? It got my hopes up so many times, because I would see this starting to happen and I thought, oh, we have some growing, and then a few days later it would dry up. And I think it was just lack of pollination. And then down here I have some pak choi that started flowering, as you can see here. And I could just let it go to seed, but I still have a ton of seeds, and my peppers are waking up. I have a few other plants over here, so I want to get them out now. The taste has already changed, so I'm not going to eat them. And I have other plants throughout the garden beds that I'm letting go to flower for the bees. So these are coming out and getting composted. Just like that. This was a cabbage, I believe. And the reason I'm taking it out now is because it has a whole lot of cabbage. Well, maybe it was broccoli. I don't remember, but it has a whole lot of cabbage aphids. Well, let me see. I don't know if you could see right there. And for the most part, I'll try to treat it with soap and water. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to go in with neem oil. And then if that doesn't work and the pests just keep coming, I'll just remove the plant, because it's getting far too warm for it anyways. So it'll most likely bolt, or it won't produce a nice head. So I might as well just take the entire host plant and get rid of all those cabbage aphids as I do it. So there you go, it's coming out. But look at that. Disgusting. I'm also going to remove this broccoli plant, and the reason for that is because I left it here to harvest the leaves and the new shoots that come out, but I feel like because it's been heating up so much, the shoots aren't getting very big either way before they start trying to bolt. So I might as well clear out the plant and get the pot ready for the next crop, which is most likely going to be Roselle hibiscus. So I'm going to cut it at the base. Just like that. That's all I could do in the garden today. It's time for me to go inside because I have guests. Plus, I made a mess, but let me show you a couple of the things that I worked on right now and a few new discoveries. First of all, we have this funny looking purple pepper right here. This is a bell pepper. I'm not sure of the exact variety name because I bought the start from the AZ Worm Farm for $1, but it's beautiful. I wouldn't say the taste is the best. It's all right. I like red bell peppers better, but the color is very striking and it still tastes pretty good. It just doesn't have the most mind-blowing flavor. And over here, I made a bit of a mess, but I wound up propagating some fig cuttings from Harvey, and I also propagated the branches that I took from my Pakistan Mulberry. So we'll see if those take root. This is what they look like right now. I mean, the cuttings from Harvey, I cut them down so small you can barely see them right there. I'm going to bring them inside just because it's still nice and cool outdoors, and I want them to be warm so that they start rooting faster, and then I'll transplant them outside. I want to film a dedicated video for this, but here's a little overview on some of the other cuttings that I have. They're ready to be up-potted. I just want to film the process with you guys, but the roots look amazing. And all these are cuttings that I took from my trees that I propagated from cuttings that I bought from Harvey. There was 2 varieties, the Black Mission and the Cadota fig. I don't think I have a Cadota anymore. I'll have to double check, but those I bought from Etsy. And the Black Mission one tastes really amazing. The Cadota I didn't get to taste last season, so I'll get to try it this season. Even these, look at those beautiful leaves and look at those roots. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so like these are definitely ready to go into a pot. And I can't keep all of them, so I do plan to sell some of them. I just haven't made up my mind how, because I don't want to put my address on anything. And P.O. boxes, people tell me get a P.O. box, and I've looked at the prices, and honestly, they're pretty expensive. Some of these roots are even starting to turn a little bit more brown, which I feel means they need to be transplanted ASAP. This one, so this one's a funny one because it doesn't have a whole lot of leaves going on, and on this side, it doesn't look like there's a lot of roots. But if we look closer, there's some really good ones peeking through. And I think that's because the ones that have a lot of potting mix that I compacted a bit much take longer to really fill out the bag, and the ones that have the looser mix tend to root a lot faster. At this point, I'm going through and showing you each one. But look how pretty. That makes me feel so happy. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So anyways, I need to go inside now. But pretty much almost every single cutting looks like that. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a really fun morning working out in the garden, but unfortunately I have to go inside. I'm half joking when I say I wish I could stay out here all day, because truly this is my happy space. I mean, look at this. I don't know if you guys can see behind me, but there's hummingbirds fluttering around. There's a nice breeze going on, and it just feels amazing being out here. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.